What do we call this? You know what I thought we call it? Infidel to infidel.
I like that.
Yeah, we call that shit. Because we're both, you know what I mean, from religious backgrounds, but we don't practice and we sin. You know what I mean? And premarital sex, drinks, alcohol, all that good shit.
And both from countries that CNN looks down on. Fox News more so.
Fox
Even
News,
CNN,
definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Instant suspects.
I want to talk to you. Well, you know, you are an apostate. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's always a weird word. It sounds so official.
My first reaction was like, what the fuck you call me? And I was like, all right, that's true.
We are technically, though, you know?
Yeah.
And you know Allah's not too kind to apostates and all that.
No,
but, you know, here's a weird thing, right? When you say you're a non-believer, that you were raised in that, it gets a lot of people upset because they assume that you talk badly about the religion or you think poorly of it. And the truth is, I've never done that. I've never said bad things about Islam to others, and I don't speak negatively on it. There are some problems with it for sure, but I don't go out of my way to denigrate it. It's not because I've left something that it's inherently bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just not for me. I never truly believed. It was forced upon me by my parents, which, you know, I understand. I was asked to conform, and I was a rebellious child that questioned everything. And I felt like the environment I was in... Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
The environment I was in wasn't conducive to that. So for me, it made me seek my answers elsewhere. And that's what I did. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, that bothered them. And I was like, well, this is not for me. I don't believe. Like when I'm doing these surahs, when I'm sitting here praying with you guys, and I'm, you know, foot to foot, and we're all in this mosque, I don't have it in my heart. And I feel like if he's up there, he's watching and he knows. So why am I lying for everyone else? This is stupid. So I figured if I'm going to find my way to Allah or God, it's not like this.
Right.
I need to get away from it, learn about it, observe it from afar, and then make that decision then. But being forced into it, I know a lot of Muslims who are not real Muslims. I know a lot of real Muslims who do not truly believe. I know a lot of Muslims who sin all the time and who are pretending because it's for their family. I know women who put on their hijab all day. The moment they go out at a nightclub, they take it off and they hoeing. You know, and I would never want to be that hypocrite. I knew I wanted to do debauchery. I wanted to do all that stuff. But I never wanted to be a hypocrite. And that's hard for my mom to take, too.
Is that still an issue a little bit?
Because my mom knows, and I've made it super clear to her. But I can tell it bothers her. But I'm like, you have to accept this part of me if you want me in your life. If this bothers you, and it was hard for her for years, especially when I was in the military, and you know that was at the height of when they were sending people to Afghanistan and shit. She's like, "You're gonna kill Muslims." I'm like, "Mom, that's not what I'm trying to do." And she was mad.
Right.
But I think once she came to accept it, we had a great relationship afterwards, and I feel like now I have an honest relationship with my mom, which is one of the most invaluable things I could ever have in my life. And so for me, I'm just grateful, and I want to keep it going that way. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of. That's my story in regards to leaving the religion. I want to hear yours.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of that. I just want to say that's such a, just to reiterate, that is a really invaluable thing to have I have the same thing, an honest relationship, and way better than, imagine you were, you know, I know you don't drink and stuff, but doing whatever other, I'm sure there's haramities in your life that are...
Haram. Haram is still a great word.
It is a great word.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even use it for people in sin. I'm just like, when you're doing bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like if someone double dips and there's everyone eating out of the same bag, I'm just like, that's haram.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't...
It's a light haram, but it's haram. Yeah, man. I don't know if there's a thing about it. Yeah. But you know, I knew those people growing up, bro, drinking is haram.
Yeah.
Do it like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you just fucked a stranger. That's not haram?
Yeah.
No, bro, but I didn't I didn't have vodka. God is cool with me getting puss. It's like, come on, bro. Like, you can't just pick and choose the shit. Or even like smoking. You know, I was more of a stoner than a drinker as a teenager, and I had like, you know, friends.
Yeah.
Your Pakistani friends whose parents were so intense.
Yeah.
And they'd, oh no, I can't drink, but just fucking going nuts. Like, and I was like, I know it's not written, but it's like,
yeah, no, pork never.
Yeah, pork never.
While they're fucking
That's
Cindy
another one.
in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch, come on, bro.
Or pork never, but drinking like, everybody's got their thing.
You know what I call those people? Oftentimes when they got like these huge glaring hypocrisies, I just call them social Muslims.
Sure.
They're Muslims for social reasons.
I call
but
them
not
Jews. No.
Jews always get the brunt of it.
I don't know. I don't know
funny
why
about
that's such a
Jews.
hard. It's such a. The word Jew is not offensive in itself, but
Yeah.
when you use it with a harsh tone,
Yeah.
it sounds so
It
offensive.
sounds great.
It sounds.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But actually, so I wasn't really raised religious at all. Like my parents were actually both atheists.
Mm-hmm.
My extended family is very religious. Most of them are very religious.
I can see why they're extended.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a large extension.
But as far my dad passed away when I was really young, so I didn't really know him. But as far as I know about him, he thought religion was ridiculous. He was kind of, I think he was where you are. No, you have the honest relationship. He was where he would have to pretend, I guess, for the family. But he was like, this shit's bullshit. My dad was very much into, as far as I know, science, super into technology, and like, we're going to go to the moon and fuck. Like, he was very anti-religion.
Okay.
And my mom was kind of the same. My mom's side, her parents were even, I don't know if they were atheists. I didn't know any of my grandparents really, but like, my mom was a communist. So like communism and atheism kind of go hand in hand. My mom lived in the USSR at the height of fucking communism, which is ridiculous, for 4 years. So I actually didn't really grow up with it. So it wasn't pushed on me, and I guess I kind of came to those conclusions kind of separately because I never talked about it with my family. But again, like, especially Islam versus Christianity, the religion is kind of written into the culture and the language.
Hard to separate.
Sure, like say, inshallah.
Yeah.
You will, even though you're not a Muslim, if you're talking your language, you're going to say inshallah.
Yeah.
It's written into the language. Yeah. That's how I say hopefully. It's not a religion. Like if I'm an atheist, I say inshallah if God wills it.
Yeah. Because it's part of your culture.
It's written into the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been to mosques. I've had to pray. I went to Arabic school as a kid in fucking Ville Saint-Laurent with all the fresh off the boat. It was a jungle, man. It was insane. I had to. I didn't know what the hell I was doing either, too. Yeah. It was hard because my parents didn't teach me this shit, and they go to Arabic school. Your Arabic's terrible, and it's all. We're reading the Quran. Yeah. It's all based on religion. It's so part of the culture. Yeah. And we had to pray, and I'm fucking looking around like, what the fuck? We got to get a rock, put our head on the rock. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Trying to follow, like when you're in a yoga class for the first time, and you're like, what the fuck's downward dog? It's the same shit. So it was never imposed on me. I kind of identify as an atheist for a long time. Now I would say I identify as agnostic.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think saying you're an atheist means you, as far as I know, you believe pretty much 100% that there is no God in any way.
Yeah.
Which I can't say, and I don't think that's a very, a lot of those people claim like, well, I believe in science, or I believe in like logic.
Yeah.
If you're following the scientific method, I could be talking out of my ass, but if you're following the scientific method, I don't think atheism is the conclusion. If you have an experiment in science, and you have a hypothesis, let's say your hypothesis is there's a God, and you conduct an experiment, and there is no conclusion, the experiment is inconclusive, you don't go, well, there's no God, or my hypothesis is wrong. You go, it is inconclusive. So for me, being an agnostic is a more scientific perspective. Like I just go, I don't believe, I can say without a doubt, I don't believe in the God of the Quran or the Bible or the Torah or necessarily.
But there could be something.
But that's a belief.
Yeah.
Too. I don't go, absolutely, you're a moron if you think this. I go, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I've had moments that are just hard to explain, or like just crazy trips on psychedelics where you're like, I'm everything, I'm you and me. Like there's moments that are like, okay, there may be dimensions of reality that are so far gone beyond me where a God type entity does exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm agnostic. I don't believe it one way or another. I'm like, I know this is my truth, this body I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't know if my consciousness will go on after I die.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Whenever people ask me about this stuff, I'm like, I just don't care. Because it's not going to change the way I live my life.
Sure. Absolutely.
I walk every day.
Yeah.
I just try to be a good person, try to be good to the people around me, try to
Yeah.
be helpful and provide for my communities and try to do things righteously.
Yeah.
And from there, if I die and there is a God, then hopefully he lets me in knowing my track record. And if he's like, nope, you didn't pray to me enough, then I'm like, nah, it's probably not a God I wanted to pray to begin with.
Yeah.
And then the alternative is there is no God. And I'm like, well, I still lived a good life, and that's it. So for me, the question of what comes in the afterlife is such an esoteric idea that a lot of people obsess over because I think the idea of just turning into nothingness scares people.
Sure.
For me, I don't care what comes afterwards. I live for this life, for what's right here in front of me, not for 30 years, not for the afterlife. But it's okay if you do. I'm just saying that's how I live.
Right.
I don't impose it on people. I don't recommend it. For me, just I don't care. I don't care what happens after death.
Right.
If it's eternal torture, well, can I change anything?
Right.
You know what I mean? If like I can't change nothing.
Sure.
So I'm gonna just live my life as a good
You
human.
could change it if you just weren't as haram. You gotta keep your dick clean.
Yeah.
You gotta. No,
Yeah.
I feel you. I mean, I will say there's times where I'm like, I really wonder, but I think it's unknowable from this physical plane. Maybe this is the only plane, but I think it's unknowable. So why worry about it so much?
Well,
you know?
that's exactly my thought. So me, I don't stress things I can't control, I can't see or understand. So
Sure.
just let it go. I'm like, that's not for me to know. So I just let it go.
Yeah.
Well, did you? So yes, you went to Arabic school. What happened afterwards?
I would go home and be like, Mom, the Quran, like she would make me learn phrases of Quran for Arabic purposes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it. My Arabic is horrible. I really wish I listened more and I
Man.
practiced more.
I still remember like a couple of my surats.
Yeah?
Allah Wahad, Allahu Samad.
Dude,
Yam yalid walam yulid walam yakul. Yeah, I still remember a couple.
fucking, you're crushing it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
know Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Maliki Yawmiddin.
Sure.
Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. My
Dude, I had to
pronunciation
know
is garbage.
that. No, it's not bad actually. Dude, it's probably better than mine, man.
Man,
it's
my
not
Arabic
bad
is
at
not
all.
great though.
It's not bad at
terrible.
all.
It's actually unusable. I just remember fucking reading the alphabet. Alif, ba, ta, ra,
Jin,
ring.
sin,
Those
ha.
letters was fucking me
Yeah.
up. And I learned a little bit late. I was like
fucking
7 or
hard,
8.
dude.
So when they try to
Yeah.
give me that shit, I was like, nigga, I'm not going to be able to do this.
No, I was older than that too.
And I was
10.
the dumbest kid in class, and there was like young kids, like they were through.
This
they're
is in
like,
Ethiopia?
Alif, ba, ta. I was like, yo, if you don't get your toddler ass out of here with your Kinder Surprise, I was so mad at the Fisher Price kids because they was getting it,
Yeah.
and I was struggling, and
Yeah.
it wasn't good for my
My brain's
psyche.
too developed, bitch. I can't
Yeah.
get there.
I remember going to the mosques, and I would be in this big room, and there would be like hundreds of people praying, and I didn't understand none of the customs. Like everyone would wash behind the. Some of them I actually learned to appreciate later. Like when they would wash behind the ear and like wash everywhere. Like I was
Yeah.
like, why are you washing behind the ear? Like nothing gets there. Turns out I was wrong. There's actually a lot of bad stuff, bad bacteria.
The
that
devil.
Actually the shaitan.
Shaitan gets there, bro.
Yeah, say shaitan. It gets behind. It's really you
Yeah.
have to make sure you make an effort to clean. So, a lot of practices from religion I come to appreciate later on in life.
Yeah.
Their contributions to math, their contributions to like astrology. It's good stuff.
Right.
It's super relevant and germane to I think like just the world growth in a lot of ways. So there's a more of an appreciation that's come over time for a lot of those ideas. I think it's more so the cultures of some places that give it a bad rep. But I would go to like there's some of the superstitions that change from culture. It's so
Yeah,
stupid.
it's a lot of it's cultural too.
Some of the stupid.
Yeah.
This is not in the Quran. Like, stop.
Sure,
I
yeah.
can't pour boiling hot water into this thing. No, haram. You have to say Alhamdulillah. Why? Because if you don't, the jinns living inside the drain will be mad at you and they'll come. Like, what? There's genies in the like, bitch. What are you talking about? Like, what are we talking?
Will Smith is in the sink.
Robin Williams, both of them. That's where he went.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not gonna
He
make
went
that
to-
dark
yeah,
joke.
no, for sure. Bless him.
But yeah. So
Yeah.
that kind of stuff would irk me. Those kind of things would always bother me, and I
Sure.
realized that was just culture because everyone had like
Yeah.
a different thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm not here to defend Islam or any religion really, but like the religion is demonized a lot more than it should be.
100%.
When a lot of the whack ass shit like that happens, like you say, it's a cultural thing. Female genital mutilation. People will be like Islam, and like people will in debates will be like, well, Muslims believe in, and you're like, no, that's a weird country to country thing.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the religion. It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
But you can't, like, you can blame the religion for some things, but there's a lot of things that it's constantly blamed for that have nothing to do with the actual religion,
Like, even for the idea of, like, in a lot of Arabic countries, like, a lot of people are doing anal sex.
Yeah.
Super common.
Some good things about Islam. Yeah, exactly.
The funny thing is, the reason why they do is to preserve their virginity.
Sure.
So all just fucking each other in the ass.
I've heard of this. No one ever...
It's super common.
Yeah,
I've asked a whole bunch of people from North
Right.
Africa and different parts of the Middle East, and they tell me, yeah, this happens. Funny enough, you go to Brazil, it's the same idea in some parts.
Sure. Well, because they're
so Catholic. Yeah. So just fuck me in the ass.
Yeah.
But I'm still a virgin. You know what I mean? Like, bitch, no, you tainted, okay? Your taint has been tainted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How's that better, bro?
It's not. Yeah. But you understand that some of these things are more cultural than they are
Sure.
anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But on the topic of like weird stuff, I think this is the time I realized like it wasn't for me. I would always ask questions like in Arabic class, and my teacher would always get annoyed because not only was I the slowest kid, but I was the most difficult kid. So I'd go to the mosque, and I remember, so they would do all the cleaning stuff, and then you'd get to line up for the prayers, right? And so the imam would, go through the process and lead the prayer after his talk. And I just had to sit there on my knees, like in the position. And I mean, like that shit hurt my feet. I used to hate that position. Obviously, you get used to it over time, but I was like, bitch, this is not for me. My feet hurt. I'm flexing too hard. Like, bitch, I gotta keep shifting. Like I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so you get up to do the prayer. So you're standing, everyone's side by side. There's like a whole bunch of rows. And one thing they do when you're at the mosque is that they would make sure if you're standing upright, these are your 2 feet, right? And the next guy, his 2 feet are connecting with you like this. And it's the same thing with the guy on this side. Everyone's feet have to be connected. And I remember when I had this grown man with his hairy ass foot touching me, I'm like, nigga, what are you doing? Like, get that shit away. I've never touched someone else's foot in my life. And this big ass. Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason why.
God.
And so I heard about this afterwards. I asked a question. I was talking to somebody who was like a leader at the mosque, and he said, you do that so that the shaitan has no room to pass in between the gaps. And me, being a young kid, I was like, okay, so if we're all connected, the shaitan can't pass through the gaps. He's like, yeah. So I was like, the shaitan's like the one who's going to like fuck us all up. He's a bad devil. He's like, yeah. I'm like, why can't he just jump over my foot? Like, what? Like, why can't
Is he that powerful?
Is he that? Like, my legs are spread open. Like, nigga, it's a freeway. You gonna just pass right between.
This motherfucker can't play freeze tag. Go through the legs.
Damn, I'm so confused. And they're like, and they got annoyed with my questions. Don't ask me more. And I remember I would constantly have, and they would always, and I'm like, this is not for me. I have too many questions. And a lot of people, and I feel like it wasn't conducive to that kind of environment. So like I remember that being the time when I was like, I don't think I'm built for this.
Right. Was that in Ethiopia when you felt that way, or like when you came to Canada?
No, this was in Canada.
Okay.
Before so I lived in Canada for a couple of years, and then I moved to Ethiopia afterwards. And by the time I was gone to Ethiopia, full haram, I was ready to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It was perfect.
What about like people like your friends or family out there? Are they super religious? Were you able to like
I always say
haram it up out there? Or like
it's very easy. Sure. Ethiopia is like a very multi-religious country. Right. It's probably
there's a lot of Muslims, a lot of Christians, a lot of Jews, right?
Rastafarians as well.
Right. Sure. Fucking
yeah. So to me, it's like the country with the most amount of religions in the world.
Right. Is it like what's the split between Muslims, Jews, Christians? Like, is it like
so Muslims? I think are the majority are close to. Then Christians are close. And then there's like a small percentage of Jews, and then a small percentage of Rastafarians, but still substantial enough to be existent. So yeah, it's interesting. I can't tell you the exact percentages, but yeah.
Sure, I probably Google it. But it's funny because I've been meaning to Google that for a while. I don't know why.
But they have their own communities in their own areas, so it's like it's interesting to see that like that shit kind of is segmented off.
Are the religious like? Is it kind of like so? It's kind of segregated. Is it segregated amongst like certain ethnic groups,
Oh, I
or
forgot.
like
Here's what I forgot to tell you. It's also it's not everyone's like a Christian Catholic. We have a lot of Orthodox.
sure,
And we have a lot of Protestants.
okay,
Very different. They do not, and they mock each other all the time. It's a different ballgame.
sure,
Protestants and they do not practice the same way. So do they all get along? Is what you asked?
yeah, like. Do they live in the same areas, or is it like divided amongst ethnic lines too, like different ethnic groups?
It's
or
more
like,
ethnic groups. There's
Okay.
a lot of ethnic clashing. You know, like tribalism in Africa in general is a very common thing.
right?
You know, whether it's the Tutsis and the, you know,
Sure.
Yeah.
The Middle East, that extends to the Middle East for sure.
same thing with Ethiopia. You know, the
Right.
Oromos, Tigrais, Amaras, like they have their clash. Even right now, they're going through that right now.
I know, just because I watch news every day, international news.
Yeah.
I'm not studying. It's like when I'm cleaning and shit.
Yeah.
But I've just heard Ethiopia a lot. There's some ethnic group being targeted. Some
Yeah,
protests going on.
it's wild.
Some singer was murdered or something.
Yeah, so he's Oromo. So I'm half Oromo, I'm half Eritrean, which is pretty much Tigrinya. And so this Oromo guy was killed, who was a singer, and he was also much against the government. He was in jail for a long time, and after he was killed, it sparked a whole bunch of protests. The government like pretty much shut down the country, shut down the internet. So it's getting kind of wild. But you know, that's like the reality of that country. It can be unstable very fast, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm reluctant to live there. If it was stable, I would live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality of life is great,
Sure.
but as a stand-up comedian who's outspoken and talks about anything, like the last thing I want is some ethnic group coming by and shooting me
Right,
up because I
yeah.
didn't like, you know, like I have no way to filter myself.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just not going to go to places where if you don't
Yeah.
filter yourself, you're going to die.
For sure. Here, someone will blog and be like, "I think Abba's problematic because he disagreed
Cancel
with me."
culture, bitch. They kill you. It's
Yeah,
a different
yeah.
ballgame.
Yeah, exactly.
That's being canceled.
We don't have to. Yeah, that's.
You're literally canceled
When
from
a
life.
Machete cuts your aorta.
Yeah, and they go after your family.
You are-
They don't just cancel. They cancel anybody who's connected to you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's too much, man.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's interesting. But like, would you think of retiring there or something like? Or like
It's something, but like I said, I
You don't
just
know
love
how
the
to-
arts, man, and I
Yeah.
feel like people oftentimes are like, no, but it's not that bad. I'm like, I see how fickle it is. I know
Mm-hmm.
the tension's there, and I know that despite being a country that's advancing, it's doing a lot of great things, and I'm always proud of my country in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I also know the realities of it, and you can say whatever you want, but things can shift back very fast. So for me, just best not to take that chance.
No, fair enough. That's the thing
Even
we
you,
take for
if you went
granted.
to Lebanon and you were as outspoken as you are doing comedy and it popped off and it was causing problems for political groups,
Yeah.
hey, that could be a problem for you.
No, absolutely. There is a burgeoning stand-up scene in Beirut, actually.
Yeah. But there's probably taboo topics.
Sure.
I mean, go make fun of Hezbollah the whole time while you're there.
Yeah, I wish I could say that. It felt like they were pretty fucking going hard when I was there, but I don't know the scene enough.
How popular are they?
Pretty good. There was like a couple hundred people every week. It was pretty
No,
good.
I'm talking about
but-
how popular are they online with
the-
their presence. You know, if your video
Yeah,
making
I
fun of
guess.
Hezbollah went
Sure,
viral,
sure.
that's a different thing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
People are not used to being mocked online. Here, I can
It's-
make fun
yeah.
of conservatives. I can make fun of liberals. I can make fun of anything. So just,
Yeah.
and I know I'm going to make it home at night
Absolutely.
for the most part.
No, for sure. Yeah, shit. It's fickle, like you said. I don't know if that was the exact word you used, but we take advantage of. We take for granted rather how good we have it in terms of stability. In
Yeah,
Canada.
for sure.
And that Canadian passport, I sometimes sit back and go, "Holy fuck, man! I'm so lucky."
So lucky.
It's funny because like when you get into the nitty gritty of like the cancel culture and like the culture identity politics and this social justice that happens, there's a lot of cringiness obviously involved. But like people are like you're privilege, you're white privilege absolutely exists. I'm not denying it. But sit back and look at your privilege.
Yeah.
You who's pointing the finger. You have a Canadian or maybe American passport most of the time.
Great.
You are in the top you're in the top 1% of the world, believe me, of like privilege.
Yep.
So relax a little bit. You know what I mean?
I
Like
agree with you.
sit back and realize how privileged you are, you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
I'm not saying that you have no right to talk about various privileges amongst gender, ethnicity within North America. But you know, stop frothing at the mouth for a second. That's why I told you I try to write a new bit about like watching Al Jazeera to get some perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you go into like the like, oh no, this comic's canceled, or like this movie or this episode of The Office is problematic from 2007.
Yeah.
And it becomes an
And then
issue.
it switches to Ethiopia, and it's like,
Yeah.
300 counter protesters have been beheaded. You're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
5 people left alive in the Yemeni village of, and you're like, okay,
Cancel
maybe-
culture taking over Africa. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
bitch, that's just always been like that.
Maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. It's just for me, I'm always able to keep that perspective, and I think that lived experience, having lived there and like know what it's like,
Sure.
it's just like, that's why I'm not phased by a lot of this stuff. Like, is it annoying? Sure, but at the end of the day, these are first world problems, and I'd rather have first world problems than third world problems.
Fuck yeah.
Look at China. I'm never going to China.
Yeah, I don't have no desire to go to China.
I'm not. First off, I've criticized China, so I'm not going to take that risk.
Sure. Yeah. Oh fuck, dude. Yeah, no, you could be on a list.
No.
I mean, you guys are
Even if I'm not. If I go to China, they go through my social medias and they see that.
Sure.
I'm not taking that chance.
Sure.
Hong Kong, China is off the limit. Taiwan, I wouldn't even risk it.
Right. And it's you have a significant amount of influence on YouTube now, so it's like, and that's only rising. So
Yeah.
if they see that, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm off with this
Bruv.
motherfucker's head.
This is a suspicion of mine, but I guarantee you, like, just looking at some of the comments, I'm like, there's some CPP shills in these comments, paid people to comment. Some of the comments I was seeing,
What's CPP? It's like the Chinese, like a
Communist Party.
Communist Party. Oh, okay. Yes.
yeah, there's some comments I saw. I'm like, they're paid. That's how much
Sure.
influence they have.
Sure.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
it's
surprised.
creepy.
A lot of it's crazy. Like, a lot of countries have online trolls. Russia, Israel, like, where they go to make sure nobody's talking shit. And if people do talk shit, they go, actually, and they have these counterpoints.
Yeah.
The people are paid to do this.
That's
It's a whole
scary.
movement in Israel, Hasbara, where it's funny. I have one or two Palestinian friends who have. Obviously, I'm being conspiratorial, but they've had their Facebook deleted several times.
Yeah.
After a post of, like, sharing an article that says, hey, maybe you shouldn't,
Support.
or whatever, criticizing like the Israeli army or whatever. I don't know. I'm obviously getting conspiratorial, but it's interesting. I have one friend in particular who, a Palestinian woman who has had her Facebook deleted like 4 times, like inexplicably.
They don't play.
But yeah, I'm sure China is fucking, China's going buck wild, dude.
No, I've definitely seen shills in my comments.
Sure.
Like, people
Russia
who've
too,
never
yeah.
watched a video of mine, who've never commented before, all of a sudden, like, yeah, I've been a fan for years. I'm like, bitch, no, you haven't. You got a very peculiar name. You look very Chinese. And I look at all my comments.
We're Chinese as fuck.
And I've never seen a Chinese person,
Right.
Chinesey
Yeah.
person comment this hard. So it was just interesting. It was just interesting. But, that's just the reality of the world and
Right.
and moving and cultures.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to think about that I'm like, that I wouldn't have thought about. For me, I don't have desire to go to China, but I would never have been like, oh no, maybe I've said something. But that, like, do you think about it a lot as more, exposure you get online and more success you have online, that your kind of the places you can go are like,
Yeah.
or things you can say are...
To be fair, I never wanted to go to China. But
Sure. But, okay.
here's the truth. Most of my fans are in first world countries.
Sure.
So I was like UK, Australia, Germany, United States. So like, I know I can go to those places.
Yeah, fair
No,
enough.
I'm not scared.
Right.
And even if like there were some people in fucking Yemen who were like, "Come on down," I'm like, "Yeah."
Nobody wants to go.
You got some problems with Saudi Arabia. It's not
Yeah.
looking great over there. I feel bad for y'all. Speaking of which, Saudi Arabia and what they're doing in Yemen is really fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
With U.S. weapons. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a whole wild. That's a weird
It's,
relationship.
you know what? When something's
Yes.
too much for me, I'm like, I don't even
know.
want to talk about
It's
it. But that's
the
the
Middle
reality.
East. I don't claim to be a Middle East expert either, but it's like, I watch the news and I go, oh, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You know what's crazy? If you go to Italy, you can't make fun of like religion over there openly. Yeah, that's a weird one.
Damn.
Especially like
The
Catholicism or
Pope.
the Pope.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, if you can go to jail.
Yeah. You can go to jail in Italy for making fun of the Pope.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm not
Damn.
just talking out my ass. Let me just check real quick.
Fuck. Right.
So I had a couple Catholic jokes.
I just picture like some old nonna chasing around with a pizza roller and like a head wrap on her head.
Yeah. Hold up.
You know, insulted the Pope.
Hold up.
Calls the cops on your ass.
Hold up. Okay, here. Italy illegal to make fun of religion. Yeah, blaspheme law.
Wow.
Yep.
Jesus. Another reason Canada's fucking sick. Got that CERB.
Yeah, so there's fines and stuff.
I'm
In
so happy
Germany,
I live
you
here,
can't
man. Oh my God.
downplay the Holocaust or
Sure.
speak of like Nazis in a very like highly positive light. It's weird. There's laws you have to watch out with, like even first world countries.
I will say I'm for that lie. I think I'm cool with that one.
What, you don't want to talk shit about Jews?
No, not as a people.
No.
Definitely not.
Oh no.
I'm a comic. I can't.
Every day
all
I
my
see news
heroes
about
are Jews.
Israel. I'm just like,
Yeah.
It
was such an issue in my house growing
y'all
up.
starting to not look great to me.
Oh, and I mean, I think
Israeli government specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't paint. I mean, painting Jews as a whole picture is definitely a crazy trope that you never want to fall into.
Yeah.
But even painting the country of Israel, even if you disagree with the policies, it's not a monolith. It's a country full of human beings, a lot of whom come from a culture of suffering.
But they're
and
annexing
leaving
land, man. Like
it's fucked up. But
every
that's like the right wing government, right? And
but every time I look at them, I'm like, bitch, you are like, if Canada was literally stealing land from like a much weaker, it would really not sit well with me.
oh, it's insane what they're doing. Let me make that clear for sure.
It just doesn't sit well with me.
And it's illegal according to international law.
Yeah.
And it is counter to the peace protests. And it's insane. It's and the whole world agrees. It is it's the USA and the right wing Israeli government versus the world at the UN. The whole UN, everybody, the EU is like, you can't do this. It's illegal according to international law.
Yeah.
June 1967 borders. You have to retreat. You can't occupy the land.
Nobody cares what the UN says, though. Nobody cares what the international court says. Nobody cares.
Absolutely.
Like, you think China gives a fuck? Like
China doesn't give a shit. China and the US are both like
Russia.
fuck the
You think Russia
and
cares?
Russia. They go international court.
We don't
Fuck
give
you.
a fuck. So it's
I like that the Chappelle sketch. One of my favorites. So many good ones. But Black Bush.
Yeah.
He has a black. He's like, and they're talking about going to the Iraq War. He's like, oh, you can, oh, you don't like it? You don't like it? UN, sanction me with your army.
Yeah.
Oh wait. You don't have an army. I think that means you need to shut the fuck up. And it's so good. I love that sketch because it's like blatantly spelling out in a more slang term what the president is saying.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's true. So here, let's pivot to something because you brought up an interesting topic. Someone said, like, do you think any more of our arts from now on with the internet and everything the way it is, do you think any more of it is ever going to be immortalized?
Immortalized?
I feel like the way
Sure.
art has been made the last 4 or 5 years, none of it's meant to last a long time. In terms of inner memory, like Chappelle Show is like one of the last couple of things that I can think of that like people will always reference because everyone watches. I feel like now everyone is so like into niche stuff. None of it's ever going to be immortalized. Like no matter how great of a comedy special you're going to come out with, doesn't matter if it's the greatest one.
That's an interesting point. I haven't thought of that. I think that's a good point. The more time passes, the more content there is. There's just like, what is it like? Just YouTube alone has what, like 1 billion years of content? I don't know if I might be exaggerating, but it's like an insane amount of time. Like the sun will explode before you can see all the content. So I think, yeah, that's a good point. As time passes, there's just more stuff. So for stuff to be immortalized in that way, maybe it's not that it'll never happen, but it has to rise to like a threshold that's almost impossible.
Can you think of one piece in the last like 7 or 8 years that's done that?
In terms of a show or like a comedy special, or in terms of whatever,
or even something that can last a long time.
Last long, man. To be immortalized, I don't know, because also I don't know how, like, the future is so uncertain. Things are happening so quick.
So let's not even say immortalized. Let's just say something that's going to last a long time.
Last a long time. No, I can't. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of, like, Chappelle Show. Yeah, I think has lasted a while and it will last forever. It's
within
still
the comedy
so relevant.
sphere, 100%.
Still so relevant.
Yeah, nobody talks about Key and Peele. Nobody talks about none of those shows or anything.
Yeah,
but they talk about that.
There's so another problem is in terms of like just looking at Netflix, and this is not to denigrate anybody making shows or whatever, but because the demand for content's so high, the quality is naturally a bit lower, right? As things spread out.
I think some of it's low quality, some of it's pretty high quality, but it's just like, I think people are like, oh, that was great, because people's tastes are so high.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go back and watch some of the stuff that we grew up, it was great, it was good.
Sure.
But I don't know if we would have been like, wow, the way we were mesmerized before.
Sure.
with a lot of it. Not all of it, but some of it. Most
Because
of
stuff was like, we waited for it to come on TV. This is on
Yeah,
TV.
yeah.
Now it's like we're like kings in our home, on our phone, just taking a shit. Like, next.
Yeah.
Next.
I watched Black Panther in my boxers in my fucking bedroom, and I was just like, meh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure if I went to the theater and I dressed up and did whatever, like,
Sure.
wow. You know, probably not to that degree because the accents were garbage, but.
This is a Wakanda.
Oh,
yeah.
man, the
Yeah, and it sounded like
African
it was
accents.
me. It sounded like me doing a racist voice.
You know what? The whole movie was full of accents. It just sounded like white people in blackface trying to sound African.
That's what I mean. So it's like,
Yeah, it was hard to listen to. But
sure. And it's true.
how you consume the stuff, I think, really changes your perception of it.
Sure,
like for
sure.
me, the Chappelle Show was like a DVD. You sit down
Yeah.
with people, you watch it.
Oh my god, it was so fucking.
Yeah, you never seen anything
So
like
legendary.
it. But like now it's like hard to be blown away by stuff.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Maybe just the amount of content. Yeah, maybe not the quality. Because I've seen some really good. This ties back. Actually, I don't know if you've seen the show Rami. Have you seen Rami or heard of it?
Yeah,
You saw it?
yeah. I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah. Because it just ties in. It's talking about religion.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a religious guy. Our mutual friend Dave Merhedge is in it.
Yeah.
And
What's your thoughts on it?
I really enjoyed it. For
Really?
me, it was it's. I highly recommend to check it out. Check out Rami. It's on Hulu.
Uh-huh.
That was the best show for me I've seen in a very long time.
Really?
Yeah, obviously I'm a bit biased because a friend of mine, Dave Merhedge, is a hilarious comedian and he's a good buddy of mine, and I'm biased to want to like it, but I fucking loved it. Mo Amer, who's another,
comedian?
I don't know him at all, but he's fucking amazing. He's Dave Chappelle's opener, actually.
Yeah,
That was the first time I ever saw him. I saw Chappelle in 2015 at JFL, and Mo opened for him and fucking destroyed.
He had a good set. Yeah.
Especially in Montreal, there's so many Arabs, and he had a lot of
Yeah, he had a lot of support.
material about that and support.
Yeah, so
But
you
I
think
really
the show-
liked it.
Yeah.
For me, that was quality. It was like, okay, this is something that has not been done. Is not, and I just like the tone of it. The writing was very dark at times,
Yeah.
but also very funny.
I feel like that show is mostly popular for people who understand a lot of the cultural references.
Sure.
I don't feel like it would have appealed to but for Arabs and like Muslims and all that. Like, whoa, a show that reflects our reality and some of our problems.
Sure.
Here's what I thought about the show. I could tell the actors were comedians, which always fucking rubs me the wrong way.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't. Generally, I don't like it because especially if it's meant to be like semi-serious, I just can't watch it. Especially if it's like story driven. I'm watching Dave. Whoever character you're trying to. I don't believe it. I know it's you.
You think that's because you know him personally, or like
No, because
okay.
I have that way about actors as well.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like when I watch Will Smith, like I knew him for a long time. A couple roles, I'm like, yeah, it's Will. But then after a while, I'm like, oh, he's really that character. In some of his movies, not all of it. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's Will Smith again. I'm watching, you know? Denzel's the same way where sometimes Denzel takes over the role so much, like I don't feel like I see the character. Whereas there's certain actors who I feel like Christian Bale's a perfect example. I can know it's Christian Bale, but whatever he's acting, like I've forgotten that. It's erased from my head. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. He's able to perhaps the quality of acting is just like through the roof,
So
through
for
the roof,
comedians, like it's especially like I feel it even harder. Like I could watch Louis because Louis was like just a weird show with like non sequitur.
It was a brilliant show.
But-
I see glimpses of Louis. I see Rami, the show, being very influenced by Louis.
Well, I could see that. Yeah.
And that's why I like it, because it goes to weird, dark places at times that you're like, what the?
Yeah.
And it surprises you.
Yeah.
Louis is a phenomenal show.
Louis did it super well
Yeah.
because it was clearly Louis C.K. acting as himself,
Yeah.
like as a stage presence, but at the same time, it was done in a non sequitur way, so every little short story was like really fun to watch and just you laughed throughout it. But I could tolerate that one because I don't know why that one worked. With the Rami one, I'm like, I don't know, and I'm not like tied to these stories. But I could see how the themes would be super relevant to people, and so they would really be like, I understand this,
Sure.
you know.
I see what you mean. I think people who are not necessarily Muslim or Arab or whatever can relate to it too. Probably more so if they're second generation immigrants or something, where they've dealt with similar things, if not the same things.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the same way. I thought the acting was great on the part of the comics. Plus, like, they're kind of the side friends who are goofy a bit.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fine. What I really liked about the story, besides like the fact that the writing's good and like it went to dark places, was like they would surprise you when they would kind of like do a character assessment. Not assessment. They would have like one episode that was just the mom, who you didn't think was even a major character. The whole episode is her life, and you dive into her life. Then one episode is just the sister who's not a main character. I thought that was really cool. Maybe it's been done. I'm not a fucking connoisseur.
You get to see their perspectives of like women in this scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool.
Because there's so many stories to tell. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
sister who probably maybe doing drugs or fucking on the weekend, but then tries to keep up some kind of look, and like how the family has to work in a fun. But you already know everyone's full of bullshit.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's just like I could definitely see how those episodes work, and again, those themes are very relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, acting, I'm like, for me, if I feel like people, yeah, I just can't get around it. But that's just my thing.
No, fair enough. I mean, it was one of those things I'm like, this is the fucking best show I've seen in years.
Yeah.
And I showed it to some people, and some people agreed, and some people were like, they weren't even paying attention halfway through. And I was like,
yeah.
this is such a good show, fuck you! Like, you get so attached.
Yeah, I stopped recommending shows to folks. Like a lot of the shows that I've grown to love and that really meant a lot to me, I'm like, if you want recommendations and they ask me, I'm like, this is what you should watch. But
Yeah.
I don't expect people to like the stuff I like.
Yeah, it comes down to it. It's just like, stand-up, it's so subjective.
Man,
So,
when acting is good, though, it fucking hits.
what's a
you
show that you've seen like recently that was just like, that really blew you
different.
away?
I don't even like sci-fi, but I've been watching this show called The Expanse
Okay.
on Sci-Fi. It's literally SYFY. It is the best sci-fi show I've ever seen, but the acting and the scenes are so genius. The way they represent like zero gravity and being like the attention to detail of like the environment is impeccable. And there's one side character who has captured me in ways like I could never think. And so I watch scenes with him, and he's such a well written character. And you know there's just a great combination between acting and writing where if it intersects perfectly, you fall in love with the character. The way it's portrayed, like they kill say a line, you're like, "Oh, nigga, say that shit again."
Right.
That gets me excited. Like I watched The Witcher long ago, and like I was objective enough to be like, the acting was great on like the main character's part, but like the sword fighting was the best sword fighting I'd ever seen in anything ever. So to get that from a Netflix series, like I'm super just like it is what it is. You know, even if I want the show to succeed, I can't lie to myself. I feel it or I don't.
Sure.
For me, when I watch a show, I want good acting. Because when you see good acting and it fucking, that shit gets me excited.
Yeah. It's funny because I should check out The Witcher. I think you recommended it to me a while ago. But when you see such high production value, and like because we're like I said, you know, we're watching it in our underwear.
Yeah.
It's funny sometimes I have that dichotomy of like so much work went into this.
Yeah.
And for me it was like, next. I'm
Next,
just like,
yeah.
like, years of people's lives and editing and
Hundreds of
directors
people,
and oh my god, like stunt coordinators.
Some
and
of it's
you're like,
merited though. There's some shows that are just fucking stupid.
Sure, fair enough.
Some
But
shows
you're
I'm
just
like,
watching on your phone. Trash.
Whose premise is this?
By-
And you got renewed for season 2? Get the fuck out of here.
Sure.
No, but oh,
Yeah.
man, yeah, good acting has always made me like get excited. But I don't
Yeah.
see a lot of it. Like, or either it's not the acting that's bad, it's the writing. There's something about dialogue that looks very unnatural that I can't get over.
I found and this is in the same vein of I find Louis and Rami in those shows. Master of None, I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
I like Aziz Ansari as a comic, and I
Really?
liked him in he's not my
Makes me
favorite
uncomfortable.
comic.
Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's because he's a rapist.
You know what it is? There's some people I'm just like, you're not sincere. Something about you is very insincere. Like I feel like there's a facade that you're presenting. Like, you know when you meet someone like this is who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is who you like. When people told me like, yeah, Louis C.K. like coming out, like I can see that. That's part of who he
He
is.
legitimately has spelled it out in his 6 specials.
Yeah. Like there's some people who just who they present is who, and to me that kind of authenticity is great.
Sure.
Aziz, I didn't get that, but sorry, I cut you off.
No,
you
fair
didn't
enough.
You didn't like Master of None.
It was brutal. It was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. But it felt like he was like, oh, Louis was good. I'm going to try to do that show.
Yeah.
And like
a
the
brown
acting
guy.
is terrible.
Yeah.
The casting is awful. His parents are actual parents play his parents,
Yeah.
which I thought is cute on paper, but their acting is so bad.
I'm gonna give you another one that's a perfect example. Game of Thrones.
Oh yes,
Right.
Oh, my
the writing,
goodness.
the reason why it was so good initially, and even they botched it, was because the books.
Yes.
And if I I read all the books, and so
As did I.
amazingly written.
So good.
Like
I've read them
how
twice.
well they're written is really underrated. Like the level of
Oh my
detail,
God.
the deviations that they took with the show, I didn't like. Thankfully, they had superb actors.
Yeah.
The guy who played Tyrion, amazing. Jon
Sure.
Snow's actor, great.
Yeah.
Jamie Lannister's actor, great. Like when I would look at them, that's Jamie Lannister for me. You know what I mean? Like there was
Yeah.
never a time where like this guy's acting too hard. For the
No,
like
he was so good.
fucking the bitch,
Cersei.
so good.
Yeah, she was
So,
amazing.
like the
Just
acting,
the bitch face.
Yeah.
The like, I can't do it, but like, just the like, the expressions she would use. Oh, the acting was amazing.
Amazing.
Even the kids were great, man.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah.
You know, like Sansa was just annoying for me, but I think unfortunately for her, when her arc developed, the writing started taking a turn for the way worse because they had more freedom, and then the writers turned out to be shit, and it got
Oh
exposed.
my god, so hard.
So
That was for someone who read the books, I'm sure.
yeah.
That last season, it was like, God. I think we talked about it at the time, but like, fuck, man.
No, they did it terribly. It was brutal and just like
Sad.
just
I was
stick a
angry for a
dragon in
month,
every
bro.
episode and it'll save it. Like no, bitch, I'm tired of dragging fires. Like everything was ruined.
Yeah. I was angry for like a month. I'm
I
serious.
hated Daenerys.
Yeah, oh, dude, by that last season, she was just the worst.
I hated her from the jump.
The worst.
Khal Drogo was way more interesting. But anyways, all this to
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
the actors didn't get worse with the last seasons. The writing
Yeah,
fucked them over.
absolutely.
So you need to have that good intersection between like the people behind the camera, the directors, and the people in front of it.
No, fair enough.
You know what show's super underrated? But I don't think it's underrated because it's got a lot of respect. But it's probably one of the greatest shows, and the acting core is amazing. But then the writing was superb. First season of True Detective.
I've heard. I've never seen it, but I've heard.
It may have been one of the greatest. It was what raised the bar for television for me. That in The Wire blew me out the water.
Sure.
But this one really especially. Matthew McConaughey. And I couldn't remember the other guy's name, but I've seen him in so many, and he's always amazing at what he does. Like their dynamic and the revolving and the writing and the pacing, like perfect score, look, everything just blew me away, and it made me appreciate the art form so much that when I think I'll watch like a show that I'm like, the acting's really meh. It's hard for me to get into it as much. Yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it. The
Yeah.
first season of True Detective is literally a masterpiece.
Okay, I'll seek it out.
Yeah.
I'll definitely seek it out.
Yeah.
I need to get into more dramatic things. I generally watch. I'm weird. I get obsessive. I watch. I definitely like shows that aren't comedy, but I get obsessed with certain comedy shows, and I rewatch them.
What's a
and,
good
like,
comedy show
analyze
in
them.
your opinion?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I've heard you tell me that.
My-
But that's your favorite.
Favorite show of all time.
Right. Okay. What else?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Kind of gone a bit downhill in the last few seasons, but the first 7 seasons are amazing.
Yeah.
Trailer Park Boys. Have you seen Trailer Park Boys?
Nah, this never seemed like my thing, to be honest with you. I
good,
struggle
though.
with comedy. But yeah, what else?
I've heard a lot of comics say that. Like a lot of good comics I respect. I go, "You watch Kurt?" And they're like, "I don't watch comedy shows." And I'm like, "Huh." Fair enough, to each their own. For me, I would love to my ideal job would be to do stand up at night, but like work on a show in the day, you know? And like that's my own slacking. I've been writing. I'll start and stop writing things, but I watch them to analyze them after a while. But I legitimately enjoy rewatching the scenes. And Curb is one where it's like, it's got some. If you're not into cringe comedy a little bit, you won't like it. I know people whose sense of humor I really respect that can't stand Curb, but it's my favorite thing ever.
I'm thinking, has there ever been a comedy show that I've liked? Not if it's strictly comedy.
The Boondocks is not. I would say that's not strictly comedy.
No, I could never qualify that, even though
Sure.
it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It really had like some thought out ideas, really story driven, and it was more political points oftentimes than it was anything else. And
Fair
so
enough.
like social commentary, like it really felt more like that.
One of the most brilliant shows ever.
Yeah, Boondocks is like,
Fucking
first. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, no, you
The
can't
first
compete.
3 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never liked a comedy. You know what? You know what it is? Because they sacrifice the dialogue for punchlines.
I don't. Yeah, but the shows I like don't do that. Honestly, the ones I name don't do that.
Yeah.
It's very. That's like a more sitcom-y thing where it's shoehorned in a little, and I don't. That annoys me for sure.
Yeah, I can't. I feel that way about just people in general. Like when I'm like, I feel like things are way funnier when they're put in a real life context. But when everything's just like How I Met Your Mother, and they're eating the diner, and then fucking Buddy comes in and he's like, "Oh, so you want to know who I fucked today?" And it's just like,
oh, it makes me want to puke. When every line is a punchline, there's one character who's like, bang, bang, boom. I'm like, nobody. First of all, if you knew someone like that in real life, you'd punch him in the face. It's annoying to be around.
unnatural dialogue makes me so uncomfortable.
All the shows I
Nobody
mentioned,
talks like that.
I know, for sure.
Nobody talks like that. Everything is just so perfectly placed, and like the guy swings at you and you dodge it so easy, and you're like, "Oh, how's the sight from down there?"
Yeah.
Nobody says that.
Yeah.
Nobody says that.
Nobody's just ready with the perfect line at all times.
No, it's just
Always on.
I'm like, who pays these fucking idiots to write this garbage?
Yeah.
I can't watch it, but you know what the
No.
thing is? A lot of people do.
Yeah, a fucking Big Bang Theory. People love that. We talked about this on the podcast one time with Preach, but it's like there's certain shows where if you tell me you like them, I'm like, your personality is suspect.
Yeah.
If you tell me you like the Big Bang Theory,
Friends is the one for me.
the Friends, yeah, we talked about that. If you like Friends or Big Bang Theory legitimately, I go, we're not gonna be friends.
That's why I loved The Fresh Prince.
That was a good show.
Like,
I still watch that. It
you know,
holds up.
because it's not just centered around comedy, even though there was jokes involved. You know, everything felt natural for the characters in the way that they talked to each
Talk
other.
about real issues, right?
Super.
They talked
real.
about like the LA riots, which were it was early '90s, right?
It was very culturally relevant, which is why it was so adored by so many people. And so when I would watch that, I'm like, I can deal with this. This is the kind of sitcom that's not just centered around comedy, but is very naturally funny.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Black people really have a problem with corny.
Sure.
They will abandon something that they think
Sure.
is corny
Right.
very fast.
I mean,
I know because I sometimes do corny shit.
Sure.
And niggas go, nigga, if you do one more corny ass joke, I'm like, all right, I get it, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I probably don't have as much data as you, but from my experience, it's the same thing.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
like corny.
for sure,
they just
for
like
sure.
people being real and authentic. And so
Yeah.
these dialogues feel very contrived. It's just like, nah, that ain't real shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But all the shows I mentioned, that's the reason I like them.
Yeah.
Curb is mostly improvised. Like, it's written, like, there's an outline.
Yeah.
But the dialogue is improvised. There's no lines.
Yeah.
The actors are... J.B. Smoove is just... He like, kind of, like, started in the 6th season. And his relationship with Larry David was so good, and he was so good off the cuff as an improviser, that he stayed. He's just, like, lives in Larry's house. It's so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Trailer Park Boys is filmed as a mockumentary.
Yeah.
And it's highly improvised, and it's fucking good. Have you seen Black Jesus?
No.
So 2 of my favorite shows are Boondocks, Trailer Park Boys, and both of the creators, Aaron Magruder and Mike Clattenburg, came together to make. So Trailer Park Boys creator, Boondocks
I've heard mixed
creator.
reviews about Black Jesus.
I fucking loved it. There's times where it's actually you're like,
Yeah.
is this borderline corny?
Yeah.
And there's 1 or 2 characters that you're like, come on.
Yeah.
But the topics, like Boondocks, are very like they're hit in a way that's very powerful, and it's very relevant to the times.
I think I'm just weird then, because I just don't laugh at those kind of shows. You know what it is? I think even like Boondocks, like it's not normally them intentionally trying to be funny. It's just the way the characters are written is just fucking hilarious.
Sure.
But I don't go for it for comedy. I know I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I feel that like maybe also because I work in a comedy background, but I just generally, even if I'm going to watch a movie, never thought of like going to watch a comedy.
Comedy movies are terrible usually. There's
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 that are
I can't watch those.
Yeah.
If I go watch a movie,
the
I want to
80s.
watch a good story. That's
No,
the
fair
same
enough.
way about like
I can't do comedy
I can
movies.
watch action movies. Okay, that's fine. But it's always like action or like really just proper story driven movies that are like just dramas, and I live for that. Even with TV shows, I'm like that. TV shows, like it's just I live for a good story. I want to, I live for a good story.
For sure.
I feel that way about my animes. All the same thing.
I need to get into more. I've been watching One Punch Man, which I know is old now, but I fucking loved it.
You know, it's kind of
I
it gets
like it.
gimmicky after a while.
Yeah.
But it's a good anime. It's
I'm
like
halfway through.
you're halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you gotta. Man, there's this one anime that I'm thinking about doing a review of every time, bro. It's like the first time I've ever watched something where I finish an episode and like, bitch, I need to do a review of this thing because like I'm emotional. I've never had that happen with anything. Like there are scenes from movies or like shows that
Game
I'm
of
like,
Thrones did that to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
What
emotion.
one? Yeah, like what?
When I was reading, certain characters, my favorite in the book,
Yeah.
not in the show, was Arya
Yeah,
and her storyline.
Arya in the book.
Yeah,
I don't know. Once she got with like the multiple face god, I was like, man, I'm starting to lose.
That was my favorite shit, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like a wicked assassin being born.
Yeah.
You know, and they take away her sight, and she's like doing all kinds of crazy shit. That kind of made me emotional a little bit. I don't know.
They definitely did it better in the books than they did in the show.
Yeah, because like she was so driven by revenge.
It was interesting at first when she was caught up by like the Hound and all those people, and she was trying to escape. That shit fascinated me. But once she came back, it was Tyrion's story. Tyrion, even Jaime's like redemption arc.
When they really go into Jaime's life, because he starts off, because you think it's tradition. Yeah, you think he's a douche. You think he's the villain.
Yeah.
And then you know about his life, and you're like, this motherfucker's noble as shit.
Yeah.
He fucks his sister, but hey, we all gotta
fuck a sister once in a while.
Come on.
Incest is wincest.
That's good. Who hasn't fucked their sister here and there?
Yeah.
His arc was even Cersei.
Yeah.
Cersei, when you learn about her childhood and that prophecy from that witch lady and like the shit that she went through and how she's like scared and holding on to her children, and the prophecy was that they would all be taken from her and a younger, more beautiful queen.
Super well. That fat ass George R. R. Martin is a fucking genius.
He's such a genius.
He was so genius that I went to go look up other books that he'd written just to read them, and they are just as good.
I have a book of short stories of his that is phenomenal. And there's some inklings. He has a book called The Ice Dragon.
Uh-huh.
And it's like it's not about the Game of Thrones universe, but it ties in.
There's one he did, I think it's called Fort. It's about like a whole world that's been changed because everyone's been given a card, and based off what you get on a card, you get a superpower. Some people become normal, some people died, some people got extremely high superpowers, and some people got deformities. Like it's like awkward powers where like half your body's gel, but you're the odd pop. It's super, and it's like there's a police precinct for catching these. Super great book.
Yeah.
And he helped, like he was the executive producer, so it's really interesting. So that's something to check out. But yeah, sorry. So you felt like Cersei.
Yeah.
All those stories were really well done.
I would read it and I'd be like, fuck, my heart would beat faster. Mm-hmm. And I would like, a friend of mine at the time who introduced it to me, I'd call her up and be like, fucking Jon Snow. And she'd be like, I know, I told you. And I was like...
The Red Wedding, when I read it, I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. That made you emotional.
Or when fucking Oberyn lost.
Oh, yes.
That one also really
That hurt, bro. That hurt.
It actually
I might have cried.
Me.
I don't know.
It actually hurt me more when I watched it because I thought they did so well and they casted him so well.
Sure.
Than when I'd read it. Yeah. There's a couple scenes where they did so well. And also the midget Tyrion is so fucking well acted.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's so good at his job.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see him any other way now.
I know, it's tough. What did I see him in recently where I was like, you're Tyrion, get the fuck out of here. You're not, come on, bro. You just...
The dwarf. Yeah. They didn't do a good job of world building. You didn't feel like there was like different cities and different countries. Like that's always a thing that's super important for me whenever I'm watching these kind of shows. And if you guys are wondering why we're talking about this is what infidels get up to when they're not part of religion. They just speak about incest and shit.
Yeah, everything haram is what we love to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just I love it when I can feel something from what I watch it. So that's why I generally watch it. Generally, the funniest things for me are always the things that are not meant to be funny. There's always the things that are not trying to be funny, and I just die laughing.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I won't reiterate it 1,000 times. Those ones I mentioned, I really feel like they're
good
exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, leave your comments below. Let us know. Do you guys like those shows? If so, just leave a comment. So... When you meet Muslims, what's your experience when they know you're not Muslim or you used to?
I feel like depends how religious they are, obviously.
Yeah.
But with the more religious, there's an instant switch.
Okay.
Oftentimes it's like, oh, brother. And then you kind of either outright tell them if they ask you about religion that you're not religious, or they clearly infer it from who you are. Yeah. And there's an instant like, oh, I thought you were one of us.
Yeah.
And... it's weird. And then there's a weird wall they put up immediately. It goes from like brother to like ugh.
Yeah.
That's not universal. Yeah. It's based on people, but I've had that regardless of religion too, even just with Lebanese people.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, they in Arabic they're like you're whatever, where are you from? What's your cuz there's like Ethiopia, it's very many religions, many sects. It's like what's your religion? It's like you're the wrong one. Instantly, it's like... I've had people do that face to me.
Really?
So I went to someone's birthday party at a Lebanese restaurant in Laval, and they knew the owner, and like immediately kind of singles me out because there's like all like Quebecois people, white people, and then he's like kind of like comes up to me and he like starts to talk to me in Arabic. He like smells the he smells the garlic coming off my head, and he's just like, he speaks a few words to me, and I respond in English and not Arabic, and he's like, ما بتحكي عربي? Like, you don't speak Arabic? And I'm like, not really. And he's just like, didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. It's like, so regardless of, I don't know if it's religion or the culture where they realize, oh, you're a very, because I was born in Lebanon, but I came here when I wasn't even 2 or 1.5. Like,
yeah.
And I've gone back once, twice.
Yeah.
But I'm Canadian.
You're Canadian, yeah.
So once they go, oh, you're Canadian, they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not religious? Ugh.
Yeah. There's also a negative perception of people who are apostates.
Yeah, like you're haram. Like so you drink, you have,
How could you turn
like,
your back on the person I pray to 5 times a day?
Yeah.
You're going to talk shit about him. You probably just want to sin. You want to engage in debauchery and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I just think it's unfortunate there's always that, because it's not the case for a lot of people.
That's a good point too. Because I'll have a fucking deep talk about spirituality and culture and religion, and I'm happy to discuss. And like there's verses, not verses of the Quran, but there's a Lebanese poet called Khalil Gibran, who's very, I think he might have been Christian actually, but there's like Sufi poets, Rumi, that like there's verses that have stuck out in my mind, and when there's things that I do find deep and beautiful about the religion at times, and people who are of the faith have said, but so we can talk about shit. I'm not like, fuck this, you're all idiots, like let's get drunk and like fuck prostitutes and do all the bad things. I mean, I love that shit too, but like, yeah, they assume stuff about you right away, where it's like, we could, if you just sat down and talked to me and didn't write me off as a person, we could probably have a cool discussion, Oh, what's your experience with Muslims when they realize you're not religious?
They just get defensive and they just assume you hate the religion, which is always unfortunate for me. That's like the main thing, and it's like, I don't. It's not for me. So that's like the main thing I deal with. But I think as you leave, they just can't comprehend why you would do it. And they think like it must be some form of evil or things like that. I'm like, it's not necessarily that. It's just not for me. So that's always a hard thing for people to comprehend. But what can you do? Yeah.
Do you get people trying to convince you of like, this is why you should, or like, this verse says you're doing this because you don't believe?
No. I'm also very like, it'd be a waste of time for people. And I think when people want to talk to me about religion, I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have that conversation.
No, fair enough.
Because talking with people you don't know very well about religion is always like one of the most uninteresting things.
Yeah. And it can get heated very quickly.
Yeah. Well, my interpretation of what I've read, I'm like, bitch, like, do you necessarily know all of it? Like, a lot of people don't know shit about the religion that they're adhering to.
Yeah.
They're just doing what they've been told. And that's okay. Live your life. But don't come try to educate me with what your mom taught you. Like, I'm not interested in none of that. So that's just the way I kind of do things. But I'm very respectful, whether it's like Buddhism, whether it's, Judaism, whatever it might be. Like, I'm respectful.
Yeah.
I'm not going out of my way to hate on anything.
Absolutely. I have no hate.
Only Scientology, I think.
That deserves utmost disrespect.
It's because of Tom Cruise.
It's a lot of things, but Tom Cruise has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, you're like, imagine if we replaced the Pope with fucking Donald Trump. Like, wouldn't that seem weird to everyone?
It's fucking... And it's also, it's because, like, we can trade... It's not like some ancient thing, where it's like, Muhammad meditated in a cave, Jesus rose, Moses came down with the tablets. It's like, it's this fucking weird guy with a fish mouth, L. Ron Hubbard, who we know, he died like what, like 80 years ago or what, 50, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's back then. It's not some ancient ritual, it's like some psycho fucking...
Yeah, but your rep matters. The Tom Cruise thing was really weird.
Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen was the new pope. Like, I'm sorry.
He's a Scientologist? What?
No. If he was the new pope
okay. Oh my god, I almost lost.
They only have one pope.
Okay.
This guy's fucking hero. He's like, Borat?
Yeah, no. Oh man, Sacha Baron Cohen is a fucking genius.
If he was the pope, though, wouldn't you look at Christianity differently?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I might join the religion. I don't know. That's so much. I love the dude.
You really like that, eh?
Fucking. Have you seen Who Is America?
I watched like an episode or two and I just stopped.
Oh, bruh. That's. Oh my god.
Told you, this is the age.
Yeah,
that
you
everything's
can't.
like,
I fucking see it for
I'm
me.
gonna watch something else. But also, I don't watch much television.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's just too much going on. I just don't have time for all of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anime for me is the consistent thing that I can watch anytime.
Right.
Yeah, I've just made my decision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. I just get obsessed with certain things.
Yeah,
Who's America? I've seen every episode 3 times.
I watch
Curb,
the
I've
clips
seen-
more.
Yeah.
Clips are fun. It's like, oh, this is the meat of it. Cool, that's enough for me.
There's some really good shit.
Yeah, I know. I see some stuff and I was like, oh, nigga, I can't watch this anymore.
It's so relevant.
He fooled so many people.
It's-
But I felt like the clips were meant to promo it, and they were probably the best parts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, like it was just ridiculous.
The stuff that you saw in the highlights was the best stuff. For sure.
100%.
Fair enough.
But listen, that's it for
Yeah.
today's episode. We're gonna wrap it up right there. If you guys liked it, we'll definitely bring you back some more. But that's 2 episodes for you guys, so be sure to subscribe. We'll definitely bring back. And also, if you want to see more from Wasim, check out the description because that's where his Instagram and his info will be. So yeah, Wasim, anything you want to share or plug?
Nothing coming up after COVID. Thank God. Second wave. No, nothing really coming up. But fucking who knows what the future holds? Check out Rami. That's my prediction.
There you go.
That's my recommendation.
Right. Don't forget, he's got a friend in there, so he's a bit biased.
He is a bit biased.
I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, check it out if you like it. If you
Yeah.
are part of the Fidel crew to religion, then you probably would like this. So yeah, peace.
Yeah.